Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. This is a Sims 3 speed build video. I'm currently in the middle of having a little bit of a headache, eating some pretzels, and having a typical existential crisis, so that's really fun. And this is going to be I guess an English-inspired cottage. I was actually building this in the world, I think it's pronounced Rin Fada. It's an Ireland-inspired world, and it's obviously a custom world. And I never played in it. I've only done a world overview video for it on my channel. But I was like, well, maybe this would be a good place to get inspiration to build in it. So I decided to do that. I did base the exterior of this home off of like a real house that I saw like in a video, so I might not put up a video like a picture of it just because I don't know if I have one. It was from something I saw in passing, but I kind of use it for inspiration for just like the outward shape for the most part. Not really, just took a little bit of it there. Everything else is all like what I just randomly decide to do. Now I will say I ran out of momentum slash inspiration while I was building. This happens sometimes for me, and sometimes I take a step back, sometimes I just say, forget it, I'm just gonna leave it. So for this one, I leave the second bedroom completely empty. Up to your own interpretation, you do what you want with it, you know, it's ready to be moved into. Maybe it's for a couple that doesn't have a kid yet, if you want to make it a family home. But did I even explain this house? I don't even remember. Okay, so this is a 2-bedroom 2.5 bath English cottage. Now, I don't really know what a lot of English cottages look like on the interiors, so I just kind of winged it and just did whatever I felt like doing. But I do like see a lot in images and like videos and stuff of what they look like on the exterior, especially if they have a little bit of space on their property. They'll have like kind of a I guess like gravel sort of little winding like road that leads up to, you know, like a small one, like a driveway sort of thing that leads up to their front door. It's where like they park their car. It's like their little walkway, and it leads to the road and things like that. And then they'll have a bunch of like, I don't know, like a bunch of different like plants, like gardening and things like that in the front yard that's kind of like naturally there and like kind of overgrown, like pretty things like that. I think it looks really nice. Like I always see these videos of like people like walking in like the like English countryside and things like that. I'm like, wow, that seems nice. But yeah, so for this build, I changed the exterior wallpaper. So I think I cut out parts of it because I ended up going with this like stone sort of, or brick, like stone brick, I guess you could say, like outer part. And it has, I think it's from World Adventure, this wallpaper, where it has some on the sides like the decaying, the moss or whatever you want to call it, because you could change it to whatever color you want. So I went with mossy to have it like natural, you know. And one thing I'll say in this, oh my gosh, so for this build I use quite a few store objects, so I'm really sorry if you don't have any store objects. They'll either be replaced with base game objects or they will just disappear, so my bad. But yeah, if you do have them, that's great, then nothing to worry about. But I use from I think it's the fairy set, I can't remember if it's a part of this or not, but it's like the L-shaped stairs. I used one of those staircases for this because it just worked perfectly. I thought it looked really cool, and I felt like it fit the vibe of like what I wanted the hallway to look like for this house. I do also use, so I said some store objects. The door is base game, but all the doors I think, and besides the front door, that door I think is from like the fairy tale like cottage core sort of set from the store. But the interior doors and stuff, those are all from like either base game or from like expansion packs. But the windows for that like conservatory thing, like on the side on the first floor, those are from, I forget what it's called, but it's like the Now and Then or something like that, century renovated Victorian style. I forget, I don't know what it's called, but it's like the before and after sort of set, where it's like a really rundown old broken windows version, and then there's a version where it's completely new and renovated. I use the like renovated, obviously, versions of the windows because I really like them for like the conservatory areas. They look, I think they're like meant to be for that, so I like it. But yeah, anyway, so I go for a mostly blue color scheme downstairs specifically because I felt like I want to change it up a bit. I always do green and like dark purples, and I was like, let's go with blue. Let's throw a little blue in there. So I did that. I've actually recorded the kitchen renovation, like doing the kitchen this time, as opposed to the other speed build I did last time where I forgot to record any of it. So that's good at least. But I do change things up a bit. I can't remember if I use any store stuff in the kitchen. I do. Oh, I do. I use there's one like little thing that's just like really small and minuscule. It's like a tiny little basket thing with eggs, but that's like if you don't have it, it's fine. But the other thing is I think it's grandma's. No, is that that's not the canning station. It's like the the baker's set from like the bakery. With the little singular like one tile stove and like oven that you get to make like birthday cakes, pies, things like that. I placed it in this build eventually in the kitchen because I really liked it with the idea of this kitchen. I thought it would be cool to have like a specific baking oven, and it filled the space up nicely, so I did that. If you don't have that, again, sorry. But I clutter it up a little bit, the kitchen, but I leave it kind of empty, like the counter space and stuff, so you could do what you want with it if you do download this build. I do have a mod that like lets you change things when they're on the counter, but I didn't use the OMSP shelf or anything, so you don't need that for that stuff to stay. I think it keeps it in place as long as you don't move it after downloading this. If you don't move this stuff off the counter, because then it's not going to go back into the place that it was, because I use that that mod. Unless you have that mod, then you can do it. But anyway, another big thing I use with this as a store object is that the ivory, the vines that go on the outside of the house, because that was just like a non-negotiable. Like I needed to use it. And I think it filled in the front of the house like really nicely. By the way this is designed, the front door's on the side of the house, but in the front of the side, which, if that makes any sense, like it's that little tiny like bump out on the right hand side. But because it was like I said, I got inspired by like another house I saw from a video, so I took some inspiration from that, and I like how it did that on the side, and so it left a bit of like a different layout and stuff. So there's one part in the front of the house, like the front of the house, quote unquote front, visually, where there's like no window on the bottom, because it's where like the bathroom and stairs are. So I wanted to cover that with like the vinery, because I feel like it just really filled in the area and made it look really nice, and it actually fits in really well with the idea of like an old English cottage, in my opinion. So yeah, but again, there's a living room, and it's blue, like I said, but I put 2 fireplaces in this build. There's one in the walkway hallway that's like where the staircase is, and then there is one in, like it shows here, the living room. I do change where I put the TV. I completely change this layout because this looks ridiculous. It looks like someone put these couches here and didn't move them into the spots they wanted them yet. That's basically what I did do without realizing it, because I was like, this layout looks awful. So I ended up changing it completely, and I'm glad I did, because I didn't like how it looked before, and I'm looking at it now, I'm like, wow, that's atrocious. So anyway, but I do a little bit of moving around with the other couch too. I completely move it to another room, like the little wicker pattern on the back of it from Supernatural. It goes into a completely different room. So I keep that more of an open space by the fireplace, you'll see. But I do a lot of let me just say, okay, this build took me a while, okay? I'm mentally drained. That's why I have a headache. I don't know. But I did a lot of landscaping with this. I put a lot of detail into the surrounding area. In my personal opinion, I think I did, where it's just like there's a lot of overgrowth or just a lot of natural greenery around it. Not necessarily that the person, like the sim that lives here, did it. You know what I mean? Like obviously in their front yard they would have planted this, but like that tree isn't necessarily something they planted. It was like maybe just always there. I do a lot like around, you'll see I do fencing eventually. Oh, it's there right now, but I changed how this looks, but you'll see what I mean towards the end. Of course there will be, by the way, screenshots at the end of this, so if you don't want to hear me blabber on, you can skip to it, but if you would like to stay, then thank you. I appreciate that, and you'll see them in a little bit. This is definitely a little bit one of the longer speed builds I've done recently because like I said, this took me so long to build and to decorate. It wasn't the building portion that took me so long, though it was a little challenging changing the layout at first because I didn't know what to do with the staircase. But I don't know if you see it actually on camera, like in the video. I show little snippets of like bathroom portions. I don't fully show me doing an entire bathroom, but there is a half bathroom underneath this staircase. I will say I haven't, as I'm recording this voiceover, I haven't play tested this build. So maybe I'll do that before releasing this, and if I make any changes, I'll just put it in the post update or whatever. And I won't be changing this video once I do it. It's too late now. But anyway, we'll see how that goes, but hopefully everything should be functional. Fingers crossed. If not, then that freaking sucks. But for me, but yeah, like I said, I do a lot of different landscaping and stuff with this, and some of it maybe they do keep up with it, things like that. But the back of it, I want it to look like there's a bit of a natural forest behind them, because I felt like that made sense, especially like English countryside, things like that. There's a bunch of natural trees that have been growing there for hundreds of years, and a bunch of shrubbery, and even hedges and everything like that separate everything. And I wanted to try to emulate that slightly to like what I could with this lot. I think this lot is a 30 by 40 size. Oh, and you'll see here a little grim, a little, morbid, okay, but also kind of sweet. I felt like this kind of went with the countryside for like English countryside. I don't really know, but I felt like doing it with this build because it's kind of in the trees, but it's also kind of still on their property. So like maybe these graves are from their family members, or maybe they're from someone else who lived here and like they weren't allowed to move them or something. You know what I mean? It's like kind of off their property. Like I don't know, but I want it to be kind of like a little grave site in the back by the trees, like something small. Oh no, I just felt like putting that there. I really wanted to use the ones from Dragon Valley, but for some freaking reason, they're not available when you go to debug. Only the ones from base game are, which is really annoying because that means you can only use them on commercial lots. But I'm like, why? Because it doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I don't know why it's like that. Anyway, I really like using the lamp. I put it on like the little table in the hallway. That has it's like that old 90s or 1980s lamp. I don't really know when that lamp was first made. It could have been made in the 70s. I wouldn't know. I have no idea. I'm sure it was made around the time either I was born, before I was born. But it's like that stained glass looking one, and they could be kind of I guess you could say they could be kind of gaudy looking to some people. But they're kind of like, I feel like retro looking, and they are quite old in style, but I like how those lamps look, and I really like using them in these type of builds in The Sims 3 for some reason. But yeah, I do decorate the actual hallway where the front door is first. I don't actually do any photos of it though, because it's such a tiny little space that it was hard to get good screenshots. So you only see what you see in the video. So my bad. I'm sorry about that, but that's okay. Because I think I pretty much show most of what I do with it. And then, like I said, so I was playing around with the layout. This was originally going to be a 1.5 bath house, not a 2.5 bath house. So I did change things around a bit. You do see I'm kind of doing a bit of a bathroom here. But this is the one, I think, one of the bathrooms is inside of a bedroom, which I don't know if that's typical in any in a bigger English home or something, but I didn't care because this is just loosely based off of that, and I wanted this to be functionally better for gameplay because this is a game. So I did that for the big bedroom, and then there's in the hallway a door that leads to another bedroom or bathroom that has just a shower and toilet. There's no bath. But I actually, for some reason, I decided to not do a shower bath combo in the bathroom. I only did a bathtub. So I guess I pick and choose. I don't know. You can always just change it up, of course, if you want to. You don't have to keep it. But I don't even know if I used a bathtub from the store. I could have, because this really horrible, I don't know if it's a glitch or whatever that happens that has never been fixed after 16 years of The Sims 3 existing, where some store objects don't get labeled as store objects and they get labeled as base game. So I don't know sometimes when something's base game for real or if it's actually base game store object. So I don't know, but I digress. Anyway, so I make I do this a lot when I make like little conservatory things with like the windows and stuff and like those side rooms. I typically make it a dining room, so that's what I do with this house. I also put a little office space upstairs in the hallway, and so there's like a empty desk area. There's like bookshelves. I also designed this for a family with a cat. You don't have to have a cat. You can get rid of all the cat stuff. You can keep the pet stuff that's not for cats and just have them have a dog. Like, I just felt like maybe the person who lived here had a cat. So that's what I went with. But it doesn't have to be the case. You know what I mean? And I feel like it just filled the space up nicely, the stuff that I used. So that's why I really did it. And it wasn't really for any real particular reason. So there you go. But with the big like bedroom, that's the only bedroom, like I said, out of the two that I decorate, unfortunately. So the other one's up to interpretation on your own, you know. It's a blank canvas. But that bedroom, I do like the kind of like, I think I do like red and brown tones, or red and green, but like a darker green, and it's very little, so it's not like too Christmassy looking or anything. But I do use the debug items because I wanted to put a little bit of a story in here, like maybe either those trophies on the shelf were from when they were a kid, and that's just memories, or maybe they have a kid already and that's trophies from their kid and they like to display them because they're proud of them. Like, I don't know. This is the end of the video now, so thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up and to subscribe if you haven't already. Download links will be below in the video description. Thanks for watching and take care.